Hey guys, how's it going? Shimbob here, and today I just wanted to go over my top 5 tips and tricks for playing Ronin. So I'm no master at Ronin like Iniquity or anything like that, but I've been leveling him up pretty consistently over the last couple of weeks, and these are just a few little pointers, sort of nuances or advanced tricks that I've sort of found really help me out. So just before I jump in, I just want to apologize if the audio is a little bit out and you can hear my P's and T's and stuff. There's a little bit of an issue with my pop filter, so I'm in the process of getting a new one. But without further ado, let's just jump straight into the tips. And number 1 is to smoke it up. So what this means is basically use your smoke all the time. Sort of similar to how I was saying with North Star to use your trap. You want to use this as your defensive ability when you get too close or you want to bug out of a situation. Not only is the smoke a really good defensive ability, but it can sort of be a bit of an offensive ability too. So sometimes if I see a Titan drop in and the pilot's not quite there yet, I'll push in close and just drop smoke in and around where the Titan is. So then when the pilot comes along, sometimes, rarely, very rarely, but sometimes you get a kill with that, or it sort of deters people a bit from going into certain areas. The same can be done when pushing an enemy Titan. You can push in, drop some smoke, phase shift through them, and then sort of re-engage them. And then obviously defensively, you just drop the smoke, get out of there, and a lot of the time people just charge through the smoke and it does a little bit of damage, which is really nice and disorientates the crap out of people. Now, tip number 2 is great in theory, but a little bit harder to put into practice in real life. But ideally, what you want to be doing is shooting from the front and hitting from the back. So basically when you're approaching an enemy Titan from the front, try and unload your shotgun straight into them and try not to get up in their face and start hitting them that way, because they can just shoot you or hit you back. So when you're face to face, just gunfight with them, but you do want to try and get in behind them, and when you get to their sides or the back and they can't shoot you, you start hitting them. I find a good combo with this is to unload 1 or 2 clips with the lead wall and then try and get into the side or behind the enemy, start whacking them, because then when they do become doomed, you'll have that instant melee and you get the execution, and Ronin executions are super satisfying. Okay, tip number 3 is to stay in cover and don't be afraid to run when the situation gets a bit too heated. So basically, I know you might think that Ronin, he's a fast Titan, you want to be out in the open a bit to maneuver around a lot, and that can be a good tactic, but I find if you're in sort of those mediumly tight spaces, mediumly tight spaces, then you can sort of use that to your cover because you are quite squishy, and then use your smoke and your dashes to get in and around the buildings and stuff to get out or get in behind enemy Titans. That goes hand in hand with the just leaving a situation when it's no good, and hand in hand with using smoke. Drop your smoke, get out of there, re-engage from another position, or wait for them to sort of move on and then come back and attack them again. You're really, when they say hit and run style Titan, you really have to be to sort of maximize your survivability as Ronin. Tip number 4 is to sword block constantly. I know people say this a lot and it just needs to be reiterated. When you're dashing, I recommend to just do it when you're dashing and when you don't need to be sprinting. So when you're sort of slowly moving in and out of cover to peek people, that's when you want to have your sword block up all the time. Or if you're getting shot by enemy pilots and you don't quite know where they're coming from yet, put your sword block up because it can block projectiles from any direction. Okay, and for the last tip, I'm just going to kind of combine 2 small tips into one because they're kind of obvious and I feel like I wouldn't be giving you guys a proper tip if I just gave you one of them. So the first part of this is to be sneaky and just be a nuisance. It's again coming back to that hit and run thing, but you want to be constantly trying to attack people from behind. If you can't, you want to phase dash through them and then get behind them. Hopefully they're slow to turn, and just try and stay out of people's line of sight so they can't shoot you. The reason for this is because you are quite squishy, same as North Star. And the second part of this tip then is the fact that you want to try and use a spare battery. I personally always use a spare battery, and I know some people like to use other boosts like pilot sentries. Goddamn, I hate pilot sentries, and other things like AWOL and stuff like that. But when you're using Ronin and North Star, if you want to maximize your time in the Titan, I highly recommend using the spare battery. So that's pretty much all I had to say for today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, found the tips helpful in some way. If you did, go ahead and leave a thumbs up. That's really appreciated. Let me know down in the comments what you thought of the video. If you have any tips and tricks of your own for Ronin, go ahead and join my network. I almost forgot to mention. I've forgotten to mention this in the last 3 videos. I created my network on Titanfall 2. It's called Shimbob Social Club, SSC. Just search it. I'll leave the name of that in the description if you're not sure how to spell that. Feel free to message me on Xbox Live and I can hook you up. But until next time now, just keep doing what you're doing, guys. Cheers.